The Middle Eastern sky is caught in a devastating storm. The roar of explosions, plumes of smoke, and air raid sirens have become the grim daily reality in Israel and, more recently, in Iran. A series of events has plunged the region into a spiral of violence, threatening to redefine the geopolitical balance. Operation Midnight Hammer, the American strike on Iran. The spark that ignited this powder keg was a massive American airstrike against three of Iran's most crucial nuclear sites: Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. This secret military operation, codenamed Midnight Hammer, was executed with surgical precision by B-2 Spirit Street Elf bombers armed with bunker-buster penetrating bombs. These munitions successfully reached and damaged the underground Iranian facilities. According to U.S. authorities, the primary goal of the operation was to cripple Iran's nuclear program, not to overthrow the government. However, this attack inflicted considerable material damage, fueled deep concern within Iran, and significantly increased the likelihood of military retaliation. The Iranian response: Tel Aviv and Haifa under fire. Iran's reaction was swift. In return, Tehran launched barrages of missiles and drones toward Israeli territory, triggering a maximum alert in Tel Aviv and Haifa. Although Israel's renowned Iron Dome defense system intercepted the majority of the attacks, the intensity of the response marked a turning point. Tensions reached a new peak. The international community was alarmed. The United Nations called for de-escalation. The European Union expressed deep concern, while Russia and China firmly condemned the American intervention, labeling it a violation of international law. The Iranian government denounced the attack as an aggression against its national sovereignty and vowed to respond in kind. Tehran also asserted that the targeted nuclear facilities were under the direct supervision of the International Atomic Energy Agency. The Iranian Supreme National Security Council declared that all options are now on the table, placing the army on maximum alert. The supreme leader of the Islamic Revolution gave his approval for strategic measures against the U.S. and its allies, stating that Israel had initiated hostilities by attacking Iranian nuclear facilities on the 13th of June. Iran retaliated without hesitation, launching a series of continuous attacks with drones and ballistic missiles. Today, these missiles are shaking the heart of Israeli cities. Tel Aviv, the city that never slept, is now in ruins. The Iron Dome under scrutiny. Its effectiveness questioned. The impact of the Iranian attack is far from symbolic. The Ramat Gan district, once bustling with life, has been transformed into a field of rubble. Targeted strikes hit several strategic sites, notably the Kiryat military complex, the Israeli Army's command center, dubbed the Tel Aviv Pentagon. Until now, the Israeli Army boasted about possessing the world's most advanced air defense system, the Iron Dome. But this claim is now seriously faltering. The wave of Iranian strikes challenges this technological superiority. Recent attacks have shown that the Iron Dome is not as infallible as claimed. Its inability to intercept several missiles has caused concern in Israel. This system was designed as a direct response to the 2006 Lebanon War. It benefited from massive technological and financial support from the United States, exceeding $1 billion. Israeli officials proudly cited a 90% interception rate, a figure often used as an authoritative argument in diplomatic and military circles. However, a crucial fact often goes unmentioned. The Iron Dome was designed primarily to intercept short-range rockets. In other words, it is effective against sporadic attacks carried out by small groups, but it is not adapted to counter fast ballistic missiles, especially when fired in large numbers and simultaneously. Each Iron Dome unit is composed of a detection radar, a computer system responsible for calculating projectile trajectories, and an interceptor missile. The latter is only launched if the system determines that the projectile is likely to fall on a strategic area. On paper, the mechanism seems perfect, but on the battlefield, the reality is very different. Faced with a coordinated, rapid, and massive attack by a power like Iran, this system is starting to show its limits. When missiles are launched en masse, at high speed and along varied trajectories, the Iron Dome's reaction time becomes insufficient. Some missiles even completely evade detection, while others manage to slip through the net and strike Israeli territory with considerable force. Iran's arsenal and Israeli vulnerability. According to Meir Saloom, an analyst at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies, the Iron Dome has a structural weakness. It is only effective against short-range projectiles. In his view, this system is not designed to counter complex and multiple attacks like those Iran has just launched. Meir Saloom asserts that Iran used a varied arsenal in its massive assault: cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and also hypersonic missiles, weapons that already exceed the capabilities of the Iron Dome. The results are visible. Several missiles pierced Israeli defenses and hit strategic areas. However, Saloom points out that Israel does not rely solely on the Iron Dome. The country also has other defense systems such as Arrow 1, Arrow 3, and David's Sling. These systems are capable of countering threats at altitudes up to 100 kilometers and are designed to intercept medium-range projectiles between 20 and 70 kilometers. In theory, Israel therefore has 3 layers of air defense. But in practice, as Saloom emphasizes, this was not enough. The country was overwhelmed for nearly 3 consecutive days. The Iranian strikes arrived in successive waves, and despite all these defense technologies, Israel struggled to cope. Meanwhile, Iran acknowledged using hypersonic missiles in the attack, a statement that seems reinforced by what actually happened on the ground. Significant damage was observed in several strategic areas across Israel. Many observers suspect that the attack was carried out using ultra-fast missiles, almost impossible to track. The Iranian news agency Fars even claimed that one of the types of missiles used was the Khaybar Shekan, a guided ballistic missile officially unveiled last May. This missile is reportedly equipped with a maneuverable warhead, capable of evading interception systems. Conflicting narratives and the reality on the ground. The Israeli army immediately denied this claim. A senior Israeli military official told the Times of Israel that the missiles fired by Iran were nothing exceptional. According to him, these were models already used in previous attacks in April and October 2024. He stated that these missiles were perfectly interceptable and that the Israeli defense system had successfully stopped the majority of them. Also, according to Israeli military reports, most of the Iranian launch platforms were reportedly destroyed. Faced with these contradictory narratives, the world is now confronted with 2 versions of reality. The first asserts that Iranian missiles breached Israeli defenses and inflicted a real humiliation. The second attempts to preserve the image of Israeli technological superiority, assuring that everything is under control. But on the ground, the facts tell a completely different story. The Iranian attack did indeed penetrate the Iron Dome, hitting vital targets and causing considerable damage. A significant number of civilians were directly affected. It is becoming difficult for the population to accept that the Israeli defense system actually works as advertised. According to the latest reports, approximately 300 residents of the greater Tel Aviv area and about 100 from Ramat Gan have been evacuated from their homes, the destruction being too extensive to allow any habitation. Although Israeli media have tried to minimize the dissemination of information on the extent of the damage, the casualty figures speak for themselves. At least 3 Israelis have been killed and 70 others injured, including 7 military personnel. On the other hand, Iranian state media did not remain silent. They claimed that their air defense managed to shoot down 3 Israeli F-35 fighter jets. So far, no independent source has been able to confirm this information. But whether true or not, this version of events adds considerable psychological pressure to a conflict that continues to escalate. Regardless of whether this claim is founded, one fact remains undeniable. Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport had to be closed. Haifa and Tamra hit, rumors of Netanyahu's escape. The climax of this escalation occurred on Saturday night, when Iran launched a new, even more massive and destructive salvo of missiles. The city of Haifa was engulfed in thick smoke and flames emanating from sensitive areas. But Haifa was not the only target. The city of Tamra, located in the northern Arab region, was also hit. According to emergency services, 5 people were injured in Haifa, while an Iranian missile struck a 2-story building in Tamra, killing 1 woman and injuring 13 others. A shocking rumor suddenly emerged. Benjamin Netanyahu had reportedly fled. A report from the Anadolu agency indicates that the Israeli presidential plane named Wing of Zion and usually used for diplomatic travel, was spotted in Athens airspace, an area entirely controlled by the Greek Aviation Authority. This detail immediately fueled speculation about a state of emergency. It appears that a military cooperation plan between Greece and Israel has been triggered, specifically authorizing the landing of Israeli military aircraft on Greek bases in the event of a crisis. Athens is perceived as an ideal neutral zone for emergency meetings between senior Israeli and American officials. Meanwhile, damage is accumulating in several strategic areas of Israel. The number of casualties continues to climb, and the rumor of Netanyahu's escape only fuels the anxiety of the Israeli population, now plagued by doubt. Many are openly questioning the effectiveness of the Iron Dome, long celebrated as the world's best air defense, but which now seems to have completely succumbed to the deluge of missiles from Iran. This escalation between Iran, Israel, and the United States could redefine the strategic balance of the Middle East. How far can this go? And who, in the end, will truly emerge victorious? Feel free to share your analyses and comments on this complex situation. If you wish to continue following the power dynamics shaping the world, subscribe. This video relies exclusively on publicly available information as of the publication date. It does not constitute a political stance or an endorsement of the statements made by the parties involved. The objective is purely informative and analytical. See you in our next video or playlist.